What? You still haven't remarried yet?
My ex-husband, who insulted me and called me a stupid, uneducated woman, ran away with a younger woman. We met again after 10 years. He noticed that I still had my maiden name.
Should I take you back again?
He said that with a condescending attitude. What kind of talk is that? You're ridiculous. Looks like I need to teach you a thing or two about reality. Do you know what the most common surname is in America? It's Smith. I was also a Smith before I got married. My name is Arya. I moved to New York City right after graduating high school and landed a job at a company in New York City. My husband was a senior employee of that company. He was 10 years older than me and looked very mature and reliable to me as I had just graduated from high school at the time. He took good care of me when I was still a teenager. I found myself really liking him, and we both realized we had feelings for each other. Before we knew it, we started dating naturally. He was kind and understanding of my selfishness. He would accompany me on our dates with such style and elegance. As a salesman, he had a refreshing and attractive appearance. I found myself falling more and more in love with him. After a year of being together, he proposed to me. At the time, I was still in my early 20s. Due to our significant age difference, people around us advised me to think carefully. But I love him for being older and having a comforting presence, and I decided that I couldn't imagine marrying anyone else. Is it true that love is blind and driven by youthful foolishness? Looking back now, I regret not living together first to see his true nature. But at the time, I was truly happy just to go home to the same house as my husband and share the same surname. Whenever I was addressed as Mrs. Smith at school or work, multiple people would respond with yes. But at first, I was really happy. Even after getting married, I continued to work, but I heard that it's not ideal for spouses to work in the same department. So I was transferred from the sales department to a clerical position. Luckily, I didn't have a strong attachment to the sales position, so it wasn't a problem for me. In fact, since I wasn't very good at sales, I even thought it was lucky for me. My husband and I shared household chores, incorporated with each other.
I'll leave the cooking to you, but otherwise, I'll do my best.
And my husband was very proactive in helping out. At work, we hardly ever had to deal with each other. But when it was time to leave the office, we left the office together. I went out to buy dinner and then came back home. I was very happy. However, that happiness began to slowly unravel around the 3rd year of our marriage. Firstly, our leaving times from work no longer matched up. Until then, we could at least go home together once a week, but
I have to work overtime. I have to go out for a drinking party with clients.
Then he started to send me emails. Even though we are in the same company, my husband in sales and I are on different floors, so I don't know what's going on. But unlike a clerical position where you can leave on time, I understand that sales involves a lot of relationship building and can be quite busy. Although I felt lonely, I tried to accept that it was just part of his job. Next, my husband stopped helping with household chores. The day before a day off,
I'll be working overtime, so go to bed early.
I got a call from him, so I prepared dinner and went to bed first. When I woke up in the morning, the dishes we ate from were still on the table. Empty alcohol bottles and snacks were scattered about, and his suit was strewn about from the entryway. Meanwhile, he was snoring on the sofa, lying on his back with his stomach exposed. He probably hadn't taken a bath or brushed his teeth and had fallen asleep after drinking alcohol. I was in shock at seeing my husband's messy state for the first time, but I knew something had to be done. I told him, "You'll catch a cold if you sleep like that." My husband got up slowly and clicked his tongue in annoyance.
Before you criticize others, why don't you clean up? It's disgusting. Women with low education are really like this.
Muttering those words, he quickly went to take a bath. I was shocked by my husband's rough language, but I realized that the state of the room was indeed terrible. I cleaned up before he came out of the bath. After getting out of the bath, my husband would lounge on the sofa, watching TV, and would not do any of the household chores on our days off. It's not like he's obligated to do anything when he's tired from working overtime. So I didn't say anything. My distrust towards my husband continued to grow stronger. At first, he simply didn't do anything around the house. It wasn't just that. He also started saying things that belittled my personality and work. On one holiday, while I was doing the household chores with my husband, lounging around, he let out a sigh and said,
"You have an easy job. You don't have to work overtime."
And then he verbally attacked me.
Well, sales might be tough for someone with just a high school diploma and limited education. Maybe in your early days at the company, you could have closed deals by trading sexual favors, but now that you're approaching 30, it's no longer an option, right? However, you married while you're still young, but you'll be aging soon. It's like a scam, isn't it? A complete fraud.
So, aging is a fraud? It doesn't make any sense. Sure, I'll be 30 in 5 years, but aren't you 40? We all age equally, it's normal. When I said that, my husband suddenly threw the remote control that was in his hand at the wall and started yelling at me.
When women age, they just deteriorate, but men become more refined. Don't lump us together.
His aggressive tone was so terrifying that I froze up and couldn't even speak.
Huh, you can't even argue back against my logic. How dare a low-educated woman like you have an opinion to a man?
My husband spat out those words and went out somewhere, not coming back that day. Since that day, my husband began to yell at me over anything. Even though he came home on time, he complained about the cleaning and food being subpar.
How can you come home on time and yet leave the cleaning and cooking half finished? Your educational level is so low that you lack capacity. Apologize! Who do you think is earning the money to feed you?
Why do I have to apologize? I'm also a full-time employee and a regular worker, you know. And who do you think is paying for our food lately? It's me, since you haven't contributed anything lately. There are so many things I want to say, but when my husband yells at me, I get so scared that I can't speak up.
A high school graduate with low education like you should just serve your husband quietly. Remember that you're not young anymore, and you're only good at housework. You're just an old woman.
My husband looked down on me and spoke condescendingly while I remained silent and looked down. One day, when I came home from work, the lights were on in the house. Did my husband come home early? I thought it was unusual and opened the front door to find my husband's and an unfamiliar pair of women's shoes there. I wonder if it was a visitor. I had a bad feeling. I'm home. I opened the living room door to find my husband flopping back on the couch and a young, beautiful woman I had never seen before next to him. leaning on his shoulder. Huh? Who are you? Heh? Are you a guest? I couldn't understand the situation, and could only look back and forth between the two faces. They began laughing at me. Just like John said, she really is just an old lady. So funny. The woman's behavior was inappropriate and vulgar, despite her pretty face, and she clapped her hands while giggling. That scene reminded me of a stuffed monkey toy that played the tambourine, just like the one I used to have as a child. I thought with a strangely calm mind.
This is Emma. She recently graduated from university. Unlike you, she's a well-educated young lady. I am starting a new life with her. I can't stand being with an aging woman like you. I will divorce you today.
My husband placed the divorce papers on the desk and said,
First, you were young and cute. But as you got older, you just deteriorated. As expected, low-educated women are no good. The divorce is all your fault, but don't expect any compensation. Be grateful for that.
I couldn't keep up with the situation as my husband yelled at me. I was stunned and had to sign it as I was told.
Come on, we're done here.
She flaunted her arm with my husband to show me, and Emma declared, We're going to elope from now on. What do you mean, elope? What about your job? What about this house?
I quit my job once and for all. I'm going to start my life over. I've also canceled my lease, and you'll be out by the end of the week, so don't chase me or look for me, since we're no longer connected. See ya.
After leaving the house affectionately, the two of them went away. I sat in a daze at the entrance for a while. Then, my memories became hazy for a while. I think I went to work normally. I realized that I had moved to a new apartment, so I must have moved properly somehow. It took about half a year after the divorce to gradually regain my composure. That's when I finally told my colleagues at work. You're divorced. I was surprised when your husband suddenly quit his job. You were looking a little pale, but you seem to be doing much better. He spoke to me like this. I was able to realize that divorce was a reality, but strangely enough, I don't feel any emotion. I'm sorry for worrying you, but I'm fine now. I'll do my best at work from now on. I was able to answer with such enthusiasm, and my energy and physical strength gradually recovered. From there, I started a new life with a fresh start. Living alone for the first time turned out to be surprisingly comfortable, and with a satisfying job, I had busy yet enjoyable days. And then, 10 years passed in the blink of an eye since the divorce. I am now 35 years old. At my age, I think that 35 is a very young age. I can't believe I was 25 10 years ago, which was just like a baby in the eyes of society. That's what I think. Even now, I work at the same company as I did 10 years ago, but that day was a day off, so I went shopping at the nearby shopping mall. I was resting on a bench after shopping when suddenly a man approached me.
What? You're Arya.
I turned my head towards the voice and saw an old man standing there.
It's me. It's me. You haven't changed at all.
When I heard that voice, my memory suddenly came flooding back. It reminded me of many things. What an old man. It was my ex-husband who had eloped with a young and beautiful college-educated woman. But it's no wonder I didn't recognize him. He's changed so much from 10 years ago when he was so fresh and handsome. Now, he looks quite old, around 65, even though he's only 45. He has a protruding belly and a lonely-looking head with lots of oily, spotted skin on his face. Even though it's not midsummer, he's sweating and making more stains on his shirt. To top it off, he smells. I wonder what happened to him in the past 10 years. As I stood there in shock, my ex-husband kept talking to me alone.
10 years, huh? You missed me, didn't you? I mean, what? Are you still a smith? You couldn't get me out of your head and you were waiting for me?
He spotted my name tag on my bag and grinned. I noticed his slightly open mouth, revealing a blackened and chipped front tooth, which only added to his uncleanliness.
That woman I ran away with ultimately only cared about money. When I changed jobs and my salary went down, she took all the money and ran away. You know, even if a woman is young and highly educated, if she's not cute, she's useless. You may have only graduated from high school and be quite old, but you waited for me so patiently, so I could consider remarrying you.
What? Who do you think you are? Let me remind you of reality. I'm already remarried.
What? Don't lie to me. You're still using your maiden name, aren't you?
My ex-husband is shouting incoherently at my words. Indeed, his last name is Smith. How many Smiths do you think there are in America? I remarried to a guy whose last name was also Smith.
That's a lie. An old, undereducated woman like you. There is no way you can remarry so easily. I don't believe it. You don't have a ring to begin with.
I usually put it on properly, but I guess the timing wasn't right. People around are watching me and my ex-husband exchange from a distance. At that moment,
Stop making false accusations.
one man came between me and my ex-husband.
Who are you? I'm William Smith, Aria's husband.
He is my current husband. My husband transferred to a company and fell in love with me at first sight when I was going through a divorce and feeling down. I was already fed up with marriage and romance, but I was attracted to his good character and remarried. By the way, he's the same age as me and used to play rugby. He has a huge build.
What is it, Smith? I'm not asking you that. Aria, break up with someone like that and come home right now.
He's shouting and trying to show off while feeling shaken by the sudden appearance of my husband. And divorce was all at your convenience. You made fun of me a lot. It's impossible to go back to how things were before. In the past, I used to freeze up and couldn't even speak when someone raised their voice at me, but my current husband gave me the courage to stand up for myself and firmly refuse. My ex-husband didn't expect me to retort, and his eyes widened as he trembled in fear. He made a fist and seemed like he was about to punch me. At that moment, "Don't you dare bully my mom!" the voice rang out. The voice belonged to my daughter.
Hey, I told you to wait over there because it's dangerous.
When my husband tried to hold my daughter back, "My mom is being bullied! I don't like that old man! Go away!" I tried to stand up to my ex-husband, and witnessing my daughter's resolute figure gave me strength. My ex-husband was opening and closing his mouth in shock.
What? You mean you gave birth to another man's child without my knowledge? Where and what Aria does after divorcing you is none of your business, is it?
When my husband calmly said that, my ex-husband suddenly turned bright red and started yelling.
I won't accept it. I won't accept it. Aria, come back. I'll forgive you now, and even allow you to bring the child with you. I'll become that child's father. Be grateful.
Every word he said makes me feel disgusted and gives me goosebumps. My husband seemed to feel the same way.
I am this child's father. Stop this nonsense, or I will call the police.
While my husband remained calm, my ex-husband continued to get more and more heated.
Damn it! If it weren't for you! Damn it all!
For some reason, my ex-husband charged at my husband like a bull. However, my husband calmly and gracefully dodged the attack without any signs of panic. His movements were light and nimble, just like a matador. As for my ex-husband, he couldn't stop his momentum and ended up rolling around on the ground. Luckily, there was no one in his way as he rolled.
Arya, I'll forgive you if you come back to me now.
My ex-husband was fuming with anger, lying on his back and unable to get up. He doesn't seem to be seriously injured, as he was so energetic just a moment ago. My husband and I exchanged looks, unsure of what to do. Just then, security guards arrived and surrounded my ex-husband. It seems that someone who witnessed the commotion contacted them. We all bowed our heads and said, "We're sorry for causing trouble." My husband put his arm around me and urged, "Let's go home now." But I was unable to move from the spot due to the shocking event that had just occurred.
"Mom, let's go. Let's go home."
I noticed my daughter pulling at my clothes, which finally brought me back to reality.
Damn it! Remember this.
I heard my ex-husband's yelling from behind me. We left the scene without looking back. After a while, I found out that one of my co-workers from the same company as my ex-husband was a witness to the commotion at the shopping mall. His misconduct became known throughout the company. He lost his position and was forced to quit his job. He used to be an excellent salesman with good results, but with his arrogant personality, it may be difficult for him to find a new job. People who do terrible things to others will eventually face the consequences themselves. I really believe in the concept of karma. It's kind of impressive, really. But if bad things come back to me, then good things must come back to me too. As much as I can, I want to live loving the people around me. I want to remember to be grateful.
"Mommy, I'm hungry. Is dinner ready yet?"
Yes, it'll be ready soon. Just wait a little longer, okay? I hurried my cooking as my daughter rushed me. While watching my husband play with our daughter, I made dinner. This is the happiest time for me.